Good morning, everybody. Chris Stegall here, joined by Jessie Penaloza. Chris Stegall from MK Partners, I should say. Jessie from Mambo Merge. And it is officially day one of Dreamforce. So welcome, welcome. And thanks for joining this morning, Jessie.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Chris. Yes, super excited. What a great way to start off this weekend here, especially being a big Salesforce weekend.
Yep. And this is the first time in a while that we haven't been up in Moscone. So, sort of a welcome relief for our feet and legs. And I think also, in terms of session attendance, I'm excited to be able to, have multiple tabs open, switch between sessions on the fly, and not have to do all of that agenda building on Monday evening and plan out my next 3 days. I feel a lot more like fluid and adaptable this go around. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I feel like attending Dreamforce and then having to kind of watch it live stream or by any means, kind of get a little bit more organized. So yes, I did a lot more research this time around to kind of see what caught my attention and kind of build out a little agenda, like you said, and then have being able to have multiple windows up, kind of being able to see multiple sessions and kind of read through feedback and input that gets provided. So I feel like this will be a really good experience as well. At least see both ends of the spectrum.
Yep, absolutely. And we will be doing these kickoffs each morning, talking about what we're looking forward to in the day ahead, as well as recaps at the end of the day. So kickoffs will be at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Recaps will be at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. And today we will also be doing a live watch along of the keynote at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Oh yes, definitely excited. That's one of the things looking forward to on day one here, just because there's so much talk about AI going on, which is the big theme for this year's Salesforce Dreamforce event. And at the same time, everybody's jumping on that new innovation. I wouldn't say it's a new technology. I think it's an innovation because the information is there. It's just figuring out what's the best way to apply it. Because we're taking existing information and then consolidating in such a way where we can find a simpler way to streamline results, to get information even quicker. So the internet already allowed us to do that, but then with AI, it's going to help us to organize. And also, I feel like the way Salesforce is approaching it, they want to have that trust factor. So they categorize it as trusted AI, which pretty much, as I did a little bit of research, just implies that there's some sort of regulation compliance. So you can't just say if this goes up, this is valid. There has to be regulation, governance, and compliance from start to finish of the AF lifecycle.
Yep. And taking a look at this list of highlighted speakers here, we've got a lot to look forward to. Um, Salesforce always has a star-studded speaker list. We saw Matthew McConaughey last year, Rainn Wilson, Jane Goodall, but also Sam Altman should be really exciting from OpenAI. Taking a look, there's a huge AI focus, as mentioned, on Dreamforce. I was just rambling about artificial intelligence. I think you might have.
There we go. It looks like we lost you for a second there. There you go. You're coming
I
back.
think it was because I opened stream on my phone to make sure that we were looking good, and the bandwidth said, "Hey, you can't be broadcasting to yourself and uploading and downloading at the same time." So back that off. I was saying speaker list, star-studded as usual, and some exciting new faces we've seen on the news, but not necessarily at Salesforce events, like Sam Altman chatting OpenAI. And we'll also get looks at artificial intelligence and its impacts in general, as well as sort of Salesforce CM specific impact of AI with Einstein. And then I just wanted to throw to you. I think you had sort of earmarked a couple of sessions that you were interested in today. Is that right?
Yeah, so obviously the main one being the main keynote because it does go over the span of 2 hours. So there's really pretty much a lot of stuff. I was kind of going over last year's keynote to kind of get a highlight of what was kind of like the structure. They focused on a lot of quantitative data findings, what they've been focusing on. Obviously, last year, Genie was the big thing. Everything got pushed to that. So now you're adding another layer on that with artificial intelligence. And seeing that, I believe you mentioned something about Einstein being the official terminology that Salesforce uses. I'm curious to know if they're going to add, like some sort of AI reference to it or GPT reference to it when they're talking about their products and services, to kind of emphasize that AI element or the trusted factor of AI. So definitely the keynote's going to be the main one to look out for. At the same time, literally right after that, there's like usually a lunch break in between, and then they start up the next set of keynotes following the main. And obviously, they're going to have that future of trusted AI keynote, which is where Sam is going to be talking about with Mark. They're going to be talking about what the future of AI holds, especially in the Salesforce ecosystem. So I'm curious to kind of see where they're going and what's their strategy to address some of the stuff that people are going to come up, which is obviously biggest questions has always been, how is AI going to, substitute or enhance an employee's environment, or vice versa? Is AI going to replace me? Like, if once we deploy AI, does that mean like the workforce now is downsized by 50%? These are just, random numbers, but the idea is that, right? So hopefully they answer some of those questions on there. Um, there is another session that should be coming out, but I'm kind of keeping an eye out on the website and kind of on Salesforce Plus to see if they have that true to the core. I really enjoyed that last year, and it was actually one of those sessions where they go right at the executives and they start asking them some of those difficult questions, or the questions that they hear over and over and over again, and they kind of disregard. So it's really nice to kind of have them be put on the spotlight, see what's going on, and see what their answers are. They have to answer some of these questions from time to time. So it's nice to be able to share it to the public. And obviously, if there's a question, you kind of see a little tension or kind of see, okay, well, how am I supposed to respond? They find a way to at least provide you some information relevant to what typical users like you and me are curious about. Um, Last but not least, obviously, as you know, Dreamforce, like any other big corporate event, it's all about those after parties, the pre-parties, parties after the event goes on. So um, there was a lot of good, constructive documentation put together by some of the Trailblazer community, and there's a whole list of parties going on. There was already over 10 parties last night, and Dreamforce is barely about to kick off, and there's at least 30 more happening tonight. So pace yourself for those people out there. If you're not out there, if you have a friend, see if you get some pictures. We're going to see if we can get some pictures. There are some people up there on our end. We're hoping to kind of see anything that catches people's attentions would be really cool, and kind of just get some feedback on that.
Yep. And of course, Dream Fest this evening, the concert will feature Foo Fighters, among other activities over at Oracle Park. Um, and I think this is the second time Foo Fighters have played
Yes.
Dreamforce in a few years. I caught them, must have been 2021. I think maybe it was yeah, it must have been 2021. I believe it was that really scaled back invite only Dreamforce, 5,000 attendees. It wasn't at Oracle. It was just on the strip right there out front of Moscone. Um, and so it'll be exciting to see what they do in that stadium when they're given, the full stage to do the arena show that we know they're capable of. So that's
Hey,
exciting as well.
that was one of the questions I had. I had originally thought they were going to be at the Oracle Stadium, that they were going to have the concert, but are they actually switching over? I could have sworn I overheard something that they're going to be using the Chase Stadium now. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe they're starting that next year, but I did want to look, kind of find out whether or not that's going to be anything.
You are correct. Yeah, it looks like they are at the Chase Center in San Francisco. And it looks like it is tomorrow. So turns out I need to do a little more research about the concerts. I'm just so used to,
I know.
it being
Again,
the first night of Dreamforce and it being at Oracle Park. I was like, they'll never change that. It'll be like that forever.
well, that was their go-to spot. So I'm curious to know why they switched it over. Obviously, you're going from outdoors to indoors, unless there's an opening on the Chase Center that allows you to open up the top part there. But like I said, those are just little things that I found out this morning. So as we mentioned, we're doing our research. We're trying to provide you as much information as possible, so at least you have one location to kind of get some, some ideas and some information for you to kind of reference on. And most information, any links or anything, we'll put on the description of the live stream once it goes live into the different both channels.
Yep. And then in terms of sessions I'm looking forward to as a marketer and, somebody that is very interested in artificial intelligence, I was, of course, filtering by marketing and marketing role and AI and topics. And this creates smarter segments for marketing with data cloud and AI. It's really at the top of my list for um, as marketers, we always like to pride ourselves on our ability to think strategically and to break down our audiences, excuse me, into targetable segments. And then, we test and then we evaluate the results of those tests and find out if we did a good job or could improve. But I'm always curious to see what artificial intelligence will do because humans, famously good at pattern recognition, like to pride ourselves on being the best at the best of the best at this. And I'm interested to see what artificial intelligence will produce. If it produces, the same guesses that I would have gotten to, but faster, then it's a time savings. If it produces different estimates or different recommendations, then it's like having an extra set of hands. Um, if its results are better than mine, then that means I get to focus on the creative and the content generation and less on the segmentation. If its results are worse than mine, then I get to focus on the segmentation and we can see what AI can do content wise. So it's a nice, the possibilities are there. I'm just excited to see where it goes. And like you said, I'm definitely not in the camp of being concerned that AI is going to take my job here as a Salesforce marketer, but I am optimistic about its ability to like free up some bandwidth and give me more time focusing on the things that I know I do well. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. And on the same note, there, I do have a session there that I'm interested this time around from the Mama Merch perspective here. Looks like what's it called? We have an SDocs, the CTO and the Director Solutions Engineer, Anand and Paul. They're going to be doing a session on from busy to sales mastery, the impact of document automation. So obviously, Mama Merch is a document generation app, and it helps simplify, or as in better words, transform your data into beautiful documents. There are quite a bit of document generation apps out there. Obviously, each one has its niche and perks. One of the things I did like about this session, obviously, they are a competitor of ours, but within the Trailblazer community, we help each other out in some way, and obviously learning from each other's experiences, and they're willing to share some of this knowledge is beneficial to help us figure out how to improve our application and provide features and functionalities that are relevant to customers now and potential future customers. So one of the things that caught attention for this particular session was just the fact that you're transforming data, and obviously Salesforce being literally a large database, it's just figuring out what's the best way to transform data into information that actually makes sense. So definitely looking forward to that. That's actually not going to be available on Salesforce Plus, so we gotta get the content from somewhere else. But it does anticipate to start around 3:30 in the afternoon later today, and it's one of the ones that caught my attention because of the fact that one of the benefits of generating documents obviously is helping simplify the process because some of the standard Salesforce features and functionalities are very straightforward, or as some people would say, just no, dull. Just they're not out there. So obviously, it's a service that is provided through the App Exchange by other companies, partners, consultants that have use cases. So the fact that everybody's literally doing that, they're taking data and transforming it, converting it into some sort of visual representation. So I'm curious to see what they have to say. What's their take? And obviously, sales being one of the drivers for documents. And if people say, well, I don't generate documents. Well, in every Salesforce org has to generate documents in some form, shape, or way. So it's just figuring out how to communicate with those customers. And I think through the automation process, I think it's going to be one way to kind of get a future potential prospect slash future customer attention that our app could do something like that.
Yep. And I think we are coming to the tail end of our kickoff here. It is 8:45, so folks are going to be heading into sessions. But I do want to say one of my favorite things about Dreamforce and the Salesforce ecosystem is sort of what you just hinted at there. Mambo Merge is a document generation tool. SDocs is a document generation tool. In most industries, those would be called competitors, and we would be loath to suggest their session. But instead, in the Salesforce ecosystem, we are all working towards the same goal, which is to improve the actionability of data, the availability of data for clients, and to improve business processes across the board, especially when it comes to those ISVs, the independent software vendors, building things for the App Exchange. So I think, where in other industries you might find some cutthroat competition and competitive angst, I don't know, stress. Instead here
Rivalry,
it's
some sort of
exactly.
rivals.
Yeah, I think you put it well when you said, every product has its own niche, it has its own strengths and weaknesses. So everyone can coexist. We know we're all working towards the same goals, and we'll be a better fit in certain instances and things like that. So there's room for everybody, and that's why there's new apps every day on the Salesforce App Exchange. It's never going to get to a point where it's like, well, that's everything we need. Nobody build another app, right?
Yeah,
We'll
there's so many ways to get from one point to the other. I think that's one way to put it as well, right? So that's what
yeah,
every App Exchange app is. It's just another way of doing something. And sometimes you're like, hey, I did never thought about that. So I do
yeah,
like that aspect of things. So
yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank those of you that tuned in on this stream. I want to thank Jessie for joining us, Mambo Merge as well for hopping on this call. This is on both channels, MK Partners and Mambo Merge. So thank me also for joining.
of course.
And and we will be back in a hair over an hour for our keynote watch along. So please do remember to like and subscribe here, and that way you get notified when we go live next. And if you have any sessions that you're interested in today, or if you attend a good session today and want us to mention it in the recap, do please comment on one of these streams or shoot us a DM on YouTube. Shoot me an email. You can probably figure out my email address, or message me on LinkedIn or Twitter. We're around.
Yes.
But thank you. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Mambo Merge. And thank you, Trailblazers, for kicking off another incredible Dreamforce here.
Yes. And thanks, Chris, for everything.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye.